Welcome again to the continuation on the vectors that I started with you in the previous videos. In the previous videos, we started learning about the vector law that governs a parallelogram, which we've done a detailed explanation on it, and also we've solved some examples on it as well in the previous videos, and I hope you understood it and you enjoyed the lesson as well. So in this video, I want us to solve another example on it so that you get a perfect understanding of it. So as you can see from the board, I have example 3 on the board, and it means that we've already done example 1 and 2 in the previous videos. And I will encourage you to do well to watch the previous videos, because the previous videos lays the foundation, the basic knowledge and understanding that you need about the vector law that governs a parallelogram. I've done all those explanations in the previous videos. Okay, so just do well to watch them to get a good foundation and understanding to be able to handle this session as well. And please don't forget to like the videos and also share them after watching. And if you're watching for the first time, please do all to follow the page and also subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at the question that I have on the board. Let's read it together. Example 3, it says that the coordinates of the vertices of a parallelogram QRST are Q16, R22, S54, and TSY. I find the vector QR and the vector TS, and hence determine the values of S and Y. And the II, it says that calculate the magnitude of RS. Okay, so I'm going to read it for the last time, then we'll proceed and solve it together. Okay, so let me read it for the last time. It says that the coordinates of the vertices of a parallelogram QRST are Q16, R22, S54, and TSY. The I part of the question says that we should find the vector QR and the vector TS, and hence determine the values of S and Y. And the II part says that calculate the magnitude of RS. Okay, and this we've solved a similar example on it in the previous video, so we are going to apply that same knowledge here to solve this one as well. Okay, and I've explained to you from the previous video that the first thing you need to do to solve this question is to draw the parallelogram. Okay, and go ahead to label the vertices of the parallelogram using the points that you have been given in the question. Okay, so we are going to do exactly that. So let me write down my solution and let me draw my parallelogram. Okay, so I'm going to draw my parallelogram. Okay, so this is my parallelogram. Okay, and the next thing to do is to label the vertices of the parallelogram, and I've explained to you how to label the vertices of the parallelogram in the previous videos. I said that you cannot just mix the vertices together anyhow you want it. Okay, you need to label it following a particular pattern. Okay, so either you choose to move in the clockwise direction or the anti-clockwise direction. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So I'll start from here and I'll label this as Q, and here will be my R, and here will be my S, and here will be my T. I hope you understand up to this point. Okay, we're giving the parallelogram QRST, so you label the vertices of the parallelogram as such. Okay, and I'm saying that you label it following a particular pattern. Either you go through the clockwise direction or the anti-clockwise direction. Okay, so you can see that when I started from here, I chose to move in the clockwise direction. So starting here as Q, I came here as R, and here as S, and here as T. Okay, someone can also choose to move in the anti-clockwise direction. You get the same thing. Okay, so whichever one that you want, you stick to it. Okay, I hope the explanation is clear enough up to this point. And please take note that you are not supposed to label it anyhow you want, because if you do so, it will affect your solution and your answer will be wrong. Okay, so always take note that when you are labeling the parallelogram, either you move in the clockwise direction or the anti-clockwise direction. Follow a particular pattern, which is very important. I hope you understand up to this point. Okay, so now that I'm done drawing the parallelogram and I've labeled the vertices, I'll go ahead and indicate my arrows on the parallelogram. Okay, you will choose which direction that you want to go. Okay, so I will choose to move from Q to T. Okay, so my arrow will point towards T. Okay, then of course it means that when I come to the opposite side also, I'll move from R to S. And this I've explained a lot, that the opposite sides of the parallelogram needs to move in the same direction. Okay, so choosing to move from Q to T, meaning my arrow will point towards T. When I come to the opposite side, it means that I have to move from R to S. I cannot make here QT, meaning I'm moving from Q to T. The arrow is pointing towards T. And I'll come here and make here SR, meaning the arrow will move from S to R, or the arrow will point towards R. That will be wrong. Okay, the arrows always needs to move in the same direction. Okay, the opposite sides of the parallelogram, the arrows will have to move at the same direction, which is very important. Okay, so now let me go ahead from here to, I can choose to move from Q to R. Okay, so my arrow will point towards R. And of course, it means that when I come to the opposite side, I'll move from T to S. Okay, I hope the explanation is clear enough up to this point. If you chose to move from, let's say, you chose to move from T to Q, meaning the arrow will point towards Q, meaning you will get vector TQ. It means that when you come here, you are supposed to move from S to R, meaning the arrow will point towards R in that direction. Okay, so just make sure that the opposite sides are always moving in the same direction. Okay, that's how to indicate your arrows on the parallelogram. I hope the explanation is clear enough up to this point. Now, from here, we are going to go ahead and indicate the points that we have been given. Okay, so when I come to the R, I'll indicate the points that I was given, and I'll do the same for the rest of the letters as well. Okay, so let me start with the R. The R is given to be 2, 2. Okay, so I'll put my 2, 2 there. I hope you understand up to this point. Then when I come to my S is given to be 5, 4. So I'll put my 5, 4 there. I hope you understand. Then I'll come to my T. The T is given to be SY. So I'll put my SY there. And when I come to the Q is given to be 1, 6. So I'll put my 1, 6 there. Okay, so this is how to draw the parallelogram and label the vertices. Okay, I hope you understand up to this point. Okay, now the I part of the question, it says that we should find the vector QR and the vector TS. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So to find my vector QR, this I've explained a lot in the previous videos, and we've done many examples on it as well. To get the QR is simply the position vector of the last letter minus the position vector of the first letter. Okay, this we've done a lot of examples on it, and I've explained it into details as well in the previous videos. Okay, so the last letter here is R. Its position vector is going to be OR minus the first letter here is Q. Its position vector is going to be OQ. Okay, so this is how to find the vector QR. The position vector of the last letter minus the position vector of the first letter. Okay, so you have OR minus OQ. I hope you understand up to this point. From here, we just need to input our values given. Okay, so my vector QR will be equal to OR. OR is given, so this is the R. Okay, the point R is given to be 2, 2. So we are going to put it in place of the OR. Okay, so I have 2, 2 minus the OQ. The OQ we have here to be 1, 6. Okay, so in place of the OQ, I'll put my value there, which is 1, 6. And I hope you understand up to this point. From here, we just need to apply the addition and subtraction of vectors that we learned. Okay, we are going to apply here to simplify further. Okay, so to simplify further, I will have 2 minus 1, which is going to give me 1. Then 2 minus 6, which is going to give me minus 4. So this is my answer for finding the vector QR. I hope the explanation is clear enough up to this point. Okay, so now let's proceed and find the vector TS as well. Okay, so let me write it down. That my TS, vector TS will be equal to, we are going to follow the same procedure. Okay, it is the position vector of the last letter minus the position vector of the first letter. Okay, so the position vector of the last letter here, which is the S, is going to be OS minus the position vector of the first letter, the T. So it's going to be OT. And I hope you understand and you agree with me up to this point. Okay, so let's input our values and get our vector TS. Okay, so my vector TS will be equal to, now the OS, we have it to be 5, 4. So in place of the OS, I'll put my 5, 4 there. So I have my 5, 4 minus my OT. My OT is this one, okay, which is the point T. So in place of the OT, I'll put my SY there. So my SY. Then we simplify further to get our answer. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. 5 minus S, it will give us 5 minus S. And I hope you understand and you agree with me. And 4 minus Y, it will give us 4 minus Y. So this is the vector TS. We are having 5 minus S, 4 minus Y. I hope you understand and you agree with me up to this point. Okay, so we are done with the finding the vector QR and the vector TS. Now the next part says that, and hence determine the values of S and Y. So now we are being asked to find the values of S and Y. This is where the vector law that governs the parallelogram that we learned in the previous videos, we are going to apply it here. Okay, so now when we come to the parallelogram that I have on the board, the diagram, you can agree with me that we've already established that the two opposite sides of a parallelogram are equal. Okay, so this side is equal to this side, and also this side is also equals to this side. Okay, so I can say that my vector QR, which is this side, the vector QR is supposed to be equal to the vector TS, okay, because the opposite sides are equal, so it's equal to vector TS. Or someone can say that the vector QT or the vector QT should be equal to this side, which will be RS. I hope you understand and you agree with me up to this point. Okay, so this is what we are supposed to do. Okay, either you follow that the vector QR is equal to the vector TS, then you use it to solve for the values of S and Y, or you can choose to say that the vector QT is equal to vector RS, okay, which is this one. So any of it that you use, you will get the same answer. Okay, but from what we've done so far, you can see that the question asks us to find the vector QR and the vector TS. So I will use the one which will be simple for me. Okay, so you can see that from this one I have the vector TS and also I have the vector QR here. Okay, so I will choose to use the first one because we've already calculated the value for vector QR, which is giving us 1 minus 4, and also we have the value of the vector TS, which is giving us 5 minus S, 4 minus Y. So I'll choose to use the first one instead. That notwithstanding, if you choose to use the second equation, you will get the same answer, just that you have to now go and find the vector QT and also the vector RS before you can equate them and solve for the values of S and Y. Okay, so to make the work simple for us, let's take to the first one. Okay, so I'm going to use the first one. I need more space, so let me clean a portion of the board so that we can continue. Okay, but before we go ahead, let me put the values of the vector QR and TS down, okay, so that we can make reference to it. Okay, so the vector QR, we had 1 minus 4, okay, and the vector TS, let me write it here, the vector TS, we had 5 minus S and 4 minus Y, okay, so that we can make reference to it. So I need to clean a portion of the board so that we can continue, and I hope you understand the explanation up to this point. Okay, so let me clean this side for us to continue. Okay, and I'll clean this as well because I said we are going to use this equation. Okay, so now when we come, we are going to equate the vector QR and the vector TS because we are using this equation, and I know you will understand up to this point because I've explained this into details. Okay, so let's go ahead. So when I take the vector QR, I have it to be 1, negative 4. So my 1, negative 4 will be equal to the vector TS. The vector TS is given to be 5 minus S, 4 minus Y. I hope you understand up to this point. Now, this becomes equality of vectors. I've taught you equality of vectors in the previous videos, so we are applying that knowledge here. Okay, so if two vectors are equal, then it means their corresponding components are the same, so we can equate corresponding components. So what it means is that when I take the 1 here, I can equate it to the 5 minus s, and when I take the minus 4 here, I can equate it to the 4 minus y. Okay, that is we equating corresponding components, and that is the equality of vectors that I taught you in the previous videos. We are applying that knowledge here. So let's go ahead. So I'll take my 1 and equate it to the 5 minus s, and I'll just solve for s. Okay, I'll let this s come here to become positive because the s is negative here. So it comes here, my s will be equal to 5 minus 1. So my s will be equal to 4. And I hope you understand up to this point. And I'm going to do the same thing to find for the value of y as well. I'm going to take my minus 4 and equate it to the 4 minus y. Okay, so again, my minus 4 is equal to 4 minus y. And I hope you understand. I'll let my negative y cross the equal sign to this side so that it becomes positive. So my y will be equal to 4 plus 4. Okay, this is negative 4. When it goes there, it becomes positive. Okay, so I'll have that my y will be equal to 4 plus 4, it gives 8. So I have that my s is equals to 4 and my y equals to 8. Okay, and that is we finding the values of s and y. It says, and hence determine the values of s and y. So my s is 4, my y is 8. I hope you understand up to this point. Now, the II part of the question, it says that calculate the magnitude of Rs. Okay, now I've taught you how to find the magnitude of a vector in the previous videos. Okay, so we are going to apply that here to find the magnitude of the Rs. Finding the magnitude of any vector simply means that you are finding the length of that vector. Okay, this I've explained a lot in the previous videos. We treated the magnitude and length of a vector, okay, as a full subtopic on the vectors. Okay, we've taught this and we've done some examples on it as well in the previous video. So we are applying that knowledge here. Okay, so again, the magnitude of a vector simply refers to the length of that vector. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so now I'm going to first find the vector Rs before I can find the magnitude of it. Okay, so I need to clean a portion of the board. So let me clean a portion of the board so that we can continue. Okay, so let me clean this side for us to continue and solve for the vector Rs. Then we'll proceed and calculate for its magnitude. So to get my vector Rs, let me write it down. So my vector Rs is going to be the position vector of the last letter minus the position vector of the first letter. This we've explained a lot in the previous videos and we've solved many examples on it as well. So we are applying that knowledge here to find the vector Rs. So for us to find the vector Rs, it's simply the position vector of the last letter, which is the S, minus the position vector of the first letter, which is the R. Okay, and the position vector of the last letter, which is the S, is going to be OS, and the position vector of the first letter, which is the R, is going to be OR. So let's write it down. So to get my vector Rs, it's going to be OS minus OR. Okay, I hope you understand up to this point. Okay, so from here we just need to input the values that we have. Okay, from the question we have our point S and R. Okay, so we are going to input it to get the value of the vector Rs. So I'm going to repeat my vector Rs equal to the OS here. That's the point S given, which is 5, 4. So in place of the OS, I'm going to put the 5, 4 there. So 5, 4 minus the OR, which is also given here, which is the point R, 2, 2. So in place of the R, I'm going to put my 2, 2 there. From here, all that we need to do is to simplify further to get the vector Rs. So the vector Rs will be equal to 5 minus 2, which will give me 3, and 4 minus 2, which is going to give me 2. Okay, so this is the value of the vector Rs, which is 3, 2. I hope you understand up to this point. Okay, so now we can proceed and find the magnitude of the vector Rs, because that is what the question is asking us to find. The question says we should calculate the magnitude of Rs. So now that we've gotten the vector Rs, we can now proceed and find the magnitude of the vector Rs. Okay, and I've already taught you how to find the magnitude of a vector. We've done a detailed explanation on it, and also we've solved some examples on it as well in the previous video. Okay, so we are just going to apply the knowledge to find the magnitude of the vector Rs here. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So now, to show that I want to find the magnitude of the vector Rs, I'll bring two lines at the side of the vector Rs. Okay, that is what shows that you are calculating for the magnitude like this. Okay, this I've explained a lot in the previous video. So it's going to be the square root of the sum of the squares of the component of the vector Rs. Okay, that's how to find the magnitude or the length of any given vector. It is the square root of the sum of the squares of the components of that vector. So when I take this 3 here, I will square it, plus when I take this 2 here, I will square it as well. Okay, from here, we just need to simplify further to get our final answer. Okay, so I'm going to repeat my magnitude of vector Rs here, equal to, repeat your square root sign. The 3 square is going to give you 9, plus the 2 square is going to give you 4. Okay, then we simplify further. Okay, so we are going to have square root of 9 plus 4 is 13. So we are going to have square root of 13. And you know that square root of 13, we will not get a whole number as an answer. So either you leave it like this or you change it to decimals, okay, using your calculator. Okay, so I will choose to leave it like this and add my units. So we are going to have square root of 13 units. Okay, and that is my final answer for finding the magnitude of the vector Rs. I hope the explanation was clear enough and you understood it as well. So please don't forget to like the video and also share them after watching. And if you are watching for the first time, please do all to follow the page and also subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. I'll see you again in another video whilst we solve other questions on this. Bye bye.